Caseus. Dawn of War. Chapter 7. The four Jedi stood, Caseus at the center, activating his weapon and keeping his guard up. "Who are you?" The figure did not speak and merely stood his ground. "Stay back! You won't be warned again!"
Caseus, lend me your saber.
"Master?"
Trust me.
Caseus nodded and quickly handed his saber to Master Takai, who stood guard.
Find our weapons. I'll keep this one busy. When I say go, you go. Understood?
"Yes, Master."
Go.
Caseus ran with Sarah and Master Drolig towards the door. The figure quickly fired several shots from his bowcaster as Master Takai leapt into action, deflecting the blast and closing the distance on her assailant, who turned his attention to her. Caseus and Sarah ran through the halls with Master Drolig following closely behind. "We need our weapons."
Look!
Two guards rounded the corner and aimed their rifles, firing stun blasts. Thinking quickly, Sarah force-pulled a large crate in front of them, deflecting the shots. All three Jedi quickly used their power and pushed the crate directly into the guards, knocking them out and pinning them against the wall. "Grab their blasters." Caseus and Sarah ran over to the unconscious guards and picked up two blaster rifles and a pistol. "Here, Master." Caseus handed the rifle to Master Drolig, who sighed in disapproval. "Clumsy things. But it will do for now. We need to find out where our weapons are being kept. I'll contact R3. Maybe there's a terminal somewhere he can hack into to find out the layout of this place."
He's alive?
"Yeah, he's a sturdy piece of hardware, that's for sure. R3, do you copy? Find a terminal or a computer. Anything that can get you the layout of this place. We need to find whoever is running this operation. Quickly, we're running out of time." "Let's head upstairs. I can't imagine any crime lord would be stationed on the lower levels." "Okay, come on." As Caseus, Drolig, and Sarah continued their search, Master Takai was hard at work defending against this new threat.
You're very bold to take on a Jedi. Or very foolish.
As the figure ran towards her, he removed his hat and threw it like a projectile. Master Takai rolled out of the way just in time as the hat rebounded, nearly knocking her down and shaking her balance. She only just regained enough of her composure to again deflect a few more incoming blaster shots.
You're far too skilled to be a common thug. I take it you're a bounty hunter then?
The alien stood still, stroking the brim of his hat as he put it back on.
Name your price then. Whatever they're paying, I'll triple it.
The bounty hunter stood still for a moment as one of the scavengers entered the room.
"Embo, what are you doing? Shoot her!"
Embo turned to the scavenger with a piercing glare and turned his attention back to the Jedi.
Think about this, bounty hunter. If you kill a Jedi, you'll have a target on your back forever. We will send forces out after you.
Embo doesn't fear you, Jedi. Embo is a man of principle. When he accepts a job, he follows through to the end.
Your principles are gravely misguided.
Enough of this! Kill her already!
Embo fired off several more shots as Master Takai dashed to the side, enhancing her speed with the Force.
You're slipping, bounty hunter.
Embo quickly threw his hat again as it ricocheted off the walls right towards Master Takai. This time, however, she was ready. Jumping over the spinning hat, Master Takai grabbed it and threw it, hitting the scavenger square in the face, knocking him off his feet.
Are these the kind of people you want to work for? Vermin who refuse to do their own dirty work?
Embo stood still, his bowcaster aimed steadily.
I'm giving you a chance to walk away. Don't waste it.
Embo didn't budge. Rather, he retrieved something from his vest and threw it at the ground. A thick black fog filled the air as Embo was shrouded from view. Master Takai kept her guard up, reaching out to sense her opponent. As she walked through the fog, she quickly deflected another blast, then another. She followed the direction of the shots. As the smoke cleared, she found not Embo, but a modified training remote, firing blasts at her. Suddenly, she was grabbed from behind by the neck. Embo began choking her, trying to twist her neck. All Master Takai could do was push back, gasping for air while trying to keep his hands off her. The groggy scavenger soon got up and saw an opportunity. The Jedi was restrained. He could end it here. Pointing his blaster at Master Takai, he fired a shot. In a split moment of pure strength, Master Takai jerked to the right as the blast hit Embo directly in the shoulder, causing him to lose his grip. Master Takai gasped for breath and sent Embo flying into the wall with a mighty push. The panicking scavenger attempted to fire back again, but Master Takai was too quick and deflected his blast back at his blaster, destroying it before pulling him towards her directly into a kick to the face. Seeing her opportunity to escape, Master Takai ran through the doorway and out into the hall. Embo stood and grabbed his hat, looking at the scavenger.
Hurry! She's escaping! You want your pay or not?
The scavenger was permanently silenced by a bowcaster shot directly to the heart from Embo, who put his hat back on his head and walked out into the hallway to continue his hunt. Meanwhile, Caseus and the others made their way to the upper levels of the palace. They had come across several guards and dispatched them with ease, but time was short. They would need their weapons, and they were no closer to finding them.
This is taking too long. Where's R3?
Caseus suddenly heard a beeping from around the corner as R3 rolled out. R3, do you have the layout? The droid projected a holo map of the palace and zoomed in on a large room 3 floors above them. This must be it. Let's hope whoever has our sabers is up there. The Jedi and R3 raced up the nearby steps to the top floor and were greeted by several more guards who opened fire. Caseus and Sarah ducked behind 2 stone pillars and fired back as Master Dralik ducked and dodged several blasts. R3 quickly rolled over and sprayed a thick gas in front of the guards who coughed and sputtered, firing in random directions. Caseus and Sarah looked at each other, the same idea entering their minds. Jumping into the cloud, they quickly called upon the force around them and sent it out in a shockwave, knocking the guards into the wall and onto the floor in dazed heaps. R3, disable their blasters. We'll find our weapons. Caseus and Sarah walked to Master Dralik, who was looking quite flustered and altogether done with this mission.
There's the door at the end of the hall. But how do we get in?
With this. Caseus pulled out the keycard he swiped from the scavenger. Walking to the terminal next to the door, Caseus looked at the card. Let's hope this works. Caseus swiped the keycard as a green light lit the terminal and the door began to open. R3, stay here and keep watch. Holding their weapons at the ready, they stepped inside and saw a well-decorated room covered in rare artifacts. On a large stone desk in the center were 4 lightsabers.
There they are.
As they walked towards the sabers, the floor suddenly gave out beneath them as they tumbled into a large pit of sand. A voice called from above as the Jedi stood on their feet.
It's rude to barge in unannounced, Jedi.
Caseus looked up and saw Tabu waving the sabers in a gloating manner. Tabu. Of course.
You Jedi are certainly resilient. I thought for sure that rocket we fired at your shuttle would have done you in. Be that as it may, your little excursion through Nal Hutta ends today.
So what? You gonna release some kind of beast down here? We're not scared of your tricks.
Oh no. What I have in mind is much more breathtaking.
Caseus noticed the walls of the pit were covered in metal chutes. A loud metallic grinding noise was heard as the chutes opened up, releasing large amounts of flowing sand into the pit, quickly filling up the floor. Caseus tried leaping up to the top room, but was cut off by a metal grate that shut right in his face, causing him to fall back down.
No funny Jedi tricks.
What's your game, Tabu? Why are you working with Dravok? Tabu laughed.
To be completely honest with you, it started out as a way to get the Jedi off his trail. It was supposed to be so simple. Find him a place to hide out for a while, help keep him off the radar of the Republic, and if any Jedi came looking for him, to execute them. That's to say, that's how it started. Everything changed when the Jedi sent the woman out here. He gave explicit orders to leave her alive. Of course, he didn't say anything about sparing you 3. I get my treasures, and he gets the pleasure of sending your bodies back to the Council.
You creep. When we get out of here, you're going to pay.
If the sand doesn't suffocate you, you'll find yourselves crushed against the walls. I'd love to stay and watch you die, but I have a very urgent appointment. Dravok will be arriving soon to be sure that you're dead. And I'm certain he'll have a few words for your master. Farewell, friends.
The Jedi quickly climbed on the rocks, trying to stay above the sand.
Get to the grate.
As they climbed, Sarah slipped and fell into the sand below. Sarah! Caseus jumped down into the pit, trying desperately to pull her out, but to no avail. She continued to sink, as did he in the downpour of sand.
Caseus! Sarah!
The sand soon covered both students completely as Master Drolig hung from the rocks in shock. Suddenly, the sand began to stir as Caseus let out one mighty push that propelled he and Sarah out of the sand and up to the stone wall where they both hung on for dear life, eyes full of dirt and dust as their doom inched closer. Suddenly, the metal grate was slashed to pieces by a green lightsaber blade.
Caseus, jump!
It was Master Takai. Caseus jumped from the wall and grabbed his master's hand, who pulled him out of the pit, followed closely by Sarah and Drolig. The sand stopped filling the pit as the three Jedi dusted themselves off and caught their breath.
Thanks, Master. I thought we were goners.
No time to think about that. Here.
Opening her robe, Master Takai handed each Jedi their lightsabers.
What about Taboo?
Taboo is no longer a concern.
Master Takai pointed to the lifeless body of the small alien on the ground near the door. You killed him?
When lives are at stake, tough decisions have to be made. Now come on, let's get out of here.
Cassius took his saber back, as did Sarah and Drolig.
We need to find a ship. I'm sure Taboo has a craft on the landing platform. Keep your guard up. That bounty hunter is still roaming around.
The four Jedi walked out of the room where R3 was waiting, only for Sarah to hesitate, walking over to Taboo's body and fishing through his pockets, removing her severed braid.
I'll be taking that.
Hurry, Sarah.
Sarah nodded, running alongside the others down the corridors. Encountering groups of guards, the Jedi were able to dispatch them with minimal effort.
Pick up the pace, R3!
Upon reaching the ground floor, the Jedi fought their way through more guards and ran outside to see Taboo's shuttle.
There it is!
As they ran to the ship, Cassius was struck on the shoulder by a bowcaster blast and knocked off his feet.
Caseus!
Cassius was completely dazed, holding his shoulder in agony as Embo stepped out from behind the shuttle, holding his bowcaster. Master Takai stepped in front of Cassius, guarding her student from further harm.
You will not land another blow, bounty hunter. You were given a chance to leave. Now you will face the consequences of your actions.
Embo readied his bowcaster and fired at the Jedi. Sarah and Master Drolig attempted to flank him, but Embo's agility made him an uncatchable target. R3 rolled to Cassius and beeped frantically. Cassius looked to the sky and felt a dark presence. Dravok. He was coming.
R3, we need to get into the ship. I need to help them distract the bounty hunter. If you can get inside and man the guns, you can provide cover fire for us. I'll be okay. Trust me. Go, now.
R3 quickly rolled towards the shuttle as Cassius retrieved his weapon. His dominant arm was no good. He could barely move it. But he needed to buy time until R3 could get into the ship. Master Takai and Master Drolig were growing tired, and Sarah wasn't faring much better. This bounty hunter was extremely skilled. No doubt he had dealt with Jedi before. Embo rolled underneath Sarah's attack as she swung for his torso and kicked her directly in the knee. Sarah shouted in pain, dropping to the ground as her comlink clattered from her pouch onto the floor as Embo aimed his weapon. Cassius lunged in, swinging his blade at the bounty hunter, who evaded his strikes and threw down a small charge in front of his feet, releasing an electric pulse that shocked Cassius into submission. Embo quickly turned his attention to Master Takai, who sped towards the bounty hunter with blinding speed. Embo was now on his toes, leaping over crates and rocks while firing at the Jedi Master. Cassius regained his composure and saw Embo land, perfectly balanced on a stack of crates, firing at Master Takai and Master Drolig. Cassius could feel Dravok's presence growing closer. He'd be here in minutes. As he looked at the shuttle, R3 finally cracked into the system and opened the door, rushing inside. Embo noticed this too and removed a thermal detonator from his belt. If he threw that into the ship, R3 would be destroyed, as well as their only chance of escape. Cassius quickly remembered his lessons and threw his saber, spinning into the crates just as Embo arched back to throw his weapon. The blade sliced the bottom two crates and caused Embo to stumble. Seeing this opportunity, Master Drolig and Master Takai sent a mighty force push at Embo, sending him flying back and the detonator tumbling into the canyon below the landing pad. The guns to the ship quickly aimed towards the bounty hunter, who removed his hat and shielded himself, being pinned down by the barrage of laser fire. Cassius retrieved his saber, clipping it to his belt.
Into the ship!
He helped Sarah up and ran with his masters into the ship as the lasers continued to pin Embo down, unable to move without the risk of being obliterated. Master Takai got into the cockpit with Drolig and began to take off. Cassius looked out the window and saw an approaching black starfighter.
Go, now!
Engaging the thrusters to their maximum potential, Dralig piloted the ship out of the canyon and into the sky.
Sarah, take Caseus to the back and tend to his wound. We need to be on the lookout for intercepting craft.
Right.
Caseus was feeling dizzy. Every cell in his body screamed for rest. He collapsed onto a small table in the back as Sarah grabbed whatever medical supplies she could find.
Take off your tunic. I need to tend to the wound.
Caseus nodded and painfully removed his tattered, stained tunic. Sarah looked shocked. Caseus' torso was covered in deep purple bruises from his fall, and his shoulder had a serious burn from the bowcaster. His eyes were bloodshot, and his hair matted against his forehead.
Hold still.
Caseus remained still as Sarah did what she could with the limited resources she had, placing his arm into a sling and applying a Bacta treatment to his wounds.
We're about to enter Lightspeed. We'll be at the temple soon.
Caseus looked at Sarah, who returned his gaze.
Well, this was...
Awful.
Yeah. Thank you, Caseus, for saving us.
I wasn't going to let anything happen to you guys.
I'm impressed. Just the fact that you survived that fall.
R3 rolled over, beeping happily.
I had some help.
Caseus' eyes grew heavy. Now that he was out of the heat of battle, he could feel just how much he was hurting. Above all else, he was exhausted. He could feel his eyelids closing.
Sarah, I...
Get some sleep, Caseus. We can talk later.
Caseus didn't even get a chance to respond before his body forced him into a deep sleep. Down below on Nalhada, Dravok treaded through the destroyed landing platform. One of the hired goons ran over.
They killed Tabu! You said this would...
Dravok grabbed the cowering man by his throat and pulled him close.
Pitiful.
A deep blue blade pierced through the thug as his body collapsed. Dravok sneered and shut his saber off, looking around. No sign of the others. No sign of the bounty hunter. And worse, no sign of Kukuri. He was alone. Dravok scowled in anger as something caught his eye. A Jedi comlink lying in the debris. Carefully, Dravok picked it up and put it into his pocket before looking back to his starfighter.